Kathy, how long has the Fresno Wildlife Rehabilitation Service been in operation?
32 years.
32 years, that's a long time.
It
And
is.
you guys move a lot of animals through every year, don't
We
you?
do. We move a great deal of animals through, and we assist the public in a lot of ways too.
So in a given year, on average, how many animals would you see, and how do they sort of break down?
We probably are averaging between 800 and 1,200 a year, and we see an awful lot of raptors. That's kind of our mainstay of the
Birds of prey.
organization, birds of prey. And we do an awful lot of mammals, small mammals, opossums, squirrels, raccoons, foxes. We do a lot of deer.
So is that sort of the specific mission of your organization, is to work with the wildlife, or do you try to work with the community as well? Or
We definitely want to work with the community. It's really important. But our second thrust of our organization, aside from rehab, is really educating the public and the young people. Without them, we don't stand a chance.
So you've been here in this community for a long time. What are some of the changes you've seen to the landscape and how humans interact with the wildlife here? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse?
Well, I'm 60 years old now, and I've seen a lot of changes. I'm a San Joaquin Valley resident, long life, born and raised here. And I've seen some changes that are very frightening for me. In the area we live, there's an awful lot of building that's going on, and sometimes I think without much thought given to the wildlife that lives there. That's one of the reasons why we try to educate the young people. We talk about the need to really preserve and care for what we have. Otherwise, we won't have anything left at all.
But have you noticed a change in attitude amongst
Yes.
locals with regard to maybe, I've often find traveling that people who would traditionally vilify or destroy an animal are more apt now to give it a second chance, or at least
Absolutely.
make it someone else's problem to deal with.
Absolutely, we're seeing more and more of that. And it's interesting because the babies that we worked with originally now have babies of their own, and those are the people that are going to be voting. And it's really exciting. They're making a lot of changes. And they're really trying to think ahead, planting a lot more trees, being more concerned about their environment and what they're going to leave behind.
And something I think that is good that's happened in this area is, like, for example, in this specific tract of habitat, it's a minimum of 40 acres per property, which is probably good. I mean, but in that sense, do you feel that it's important to provide information for people?
Oh, of course. We try to do that. In fact, we have a lot of people that live in the outlying areas that'll call us when they encounter wildlife and they're concerned about whether an animal really should be where it is, where they find it. And we can usually work with them and get them over that period of fearfulness.
Well, so this center has been in operation for a long time right now, and they're really having a positive impact when it comes to liberating wildlife, getting them from situations of conflict and compromise and getting them back into the wild where they belong, and also educating people about the importance of this wildlife. And speaking of wildlife, coming up next, we've got something very exciting. We're actually going to see some of these animals go from uncertain futures to freedom.
What you have to do, it works best for me, is you take a break, you stick it up like a cat by the leg of it.
Yep. Okay, we're ready when you are. And quiet, please. Okay, Dave, we're ready when you are.
Somebody's growling. Somebody's really growling.
Oh, I know it's a great sound.
Okay, it's good.
this is terrific. Thank you.
Glad it's gone.
Yep, glad it's gone.
Great. That was lovely.
Okay.
Lots of work.
Come on, Koji.
Just make sure you put your thumb in there and hold on to that leash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Here you go. You're okay. You're okay. Now, open your fingers, and I'm going to hold on to this.
gorgeous.
Hold on, stay there. Nice.
Got
This
it?
is awesome.
Okay,
Yes.
now don't let go until I
won't.
snap at you, okay?
Beautiful bird.
I was carrying it and he hit the gate so hard it opened it and he took off one of them. Well, it's really nice because he has a lot of vegetation, a lot of trees up there, a lot of rocks, there's even caves, little rock outcroppings and stuff like that. So it'll be a good place for him. Plenty of hiding places. There's water. There's a lot of springs,
Good.
and plus this right here is the main source. Now this creek right here, it goes all the way up to the top. And there's actually, during the winter, there's a big waterfall that comes down.
Really? How
Yeah,
neat.
real big.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So Debbie, you're going to release these animals right up here?
Yeah, right there will be
This is really spectacular country, classic California slope and grassland. We've got this beautiful creek running right behind you. And unfortunately, so often the time when humankind and animals meet, it's usually the wildlife that loses out, but not in this situation. Traveling throughout this series, something that I found incredibly heartening is this tremendous effort across our country to not only reclimate and restore and protect habitat, but also the wildlife that lives there as well. And today is by no means an exception. If you look inside these travel cages, you will see an incredible creature. It is one of the great American canines. This right here is the gray fox, a creature that once inhabited much of the central and western part of the United States, but it's an animal whose range has been incredibly constricted with habitat loss, and these animals have actually physically paid the price when their path of survival crossed humankind. So Debbie, what is the history of these specific gray foxes right here?
These came to us from residential areas. As the developers came in and started their construction, they got into their habitat, and so the animal control and individual people trapped them and then called us and brought them to us.
Which is somewhat of a challenge, especially as this land disappears to make room for human habitat. It's creatures like this that pay the price. And I think it's all well and good that people want to sort of capture these animals and reintroduce them to other habitat, but that sort of runs amok when that habitat literally runs out. I mean, we've got this beautiful landscape right here. You've got these rolling hills of oaks and reeds, and it's great for foxes, and it's also great for a swing set and a family of 3.5 people to live. So that's the challenge. And it's interesting, as you drive up and down these roads, you notice for sale signs everywhere, and what traditionally used to be fantastic farming country for everything from navel oranges to pistachios to olives and grapes is giving way for urbanization. But these animals have a good possibility for survival because abutting this property we're releasing them is protected land, isn't there?
There's about 9,000 acres of Bureau of Land Management property, and so it's
So
perfect.
9,000
It's
acres,
ideal.
9,000 acres of BLM, Bureau of Land Management property, and that's plenty of acreage for these foxes. But their survival is not guaranteed. There are lots of predators that would easily prey on these animals, everything from eagles and large birds of prey to other canines like coyotes, for example. But you guys get a lot of animals like this a year, don't you?
Yes.
On average, how many animals do you guys get in a year?
We can get 18 to 25 easily.
Just foxes.
Hmm.
But a total amount of animals that you guys work through, because this wildlife rehabilitation center in Fresno doesn't only just deal with foxes, you deal with all manner of wildlife.
We do a lot of songbirds, possums, foxes, all the raptors.
Speaking of raptors, tonight you're going to see a really cool release of owls, which is going to be awesome. So you're just dealing with all matter of life. And so the history of these specific foxes is that they were, so the history of these specific foxes right here is that they were trapped on someone's land, but you also get animals that have been hit by cars.
Hit by cars, or a lot of farmers, as they disc their property, they'll disc up the dens and expose the pups. Maybe they'll have run over the mother, and so we get the pups from that.
And also, today you guys are going to release a bobcat, right? A bobcat that's
Correct.
been injured. And what's the story of that bobcat?
The bobcat was hit by a car and came in very sick, and they didn't expect it to live, but it's been released.
Not
so
only
that's a good
did
thing.
it beat the odds and survive, it's going to be free once again. And speaking of free, I think it's probably get these animals out of these cages and into the wilderness. So do you have any sort of strategy for this, or you just open the cages and let them go?
We kind of point them the way we want them to run.
Okay, which
and
is
then
where?
I think we want them
Like
to
that
run
way?
Up that way is fine.
Okay.
And then just open the pen from behind.
You're going to open just the front latch, right?
Front latch.
You're going to close it, right?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, ready?
Hold on. Ready, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay, I'm ready.
Oh, shush. Look at that. The fox is off, and he is eager to flee, and he leaps and he bounds over this grassland, and before you know it, he's over that hill, and he disappears into the canyon behind it. And he does so because he's got incredible camouflage. You can see his fur. It's actually bicolored. It's got both a bit of cream tip and some gray and some golden color. It allows it just to perfectly blend in with this surrounding scrubby grass. And something else that's really cool about that fox is not only is he fantastic at leaping and jumping and bounding, but it's one of the few canines that's very good at climbing. You can actually see the Cinna argentius, that's its scientific name. These foxes actually climb trees, and they'll partake of all sorts of food, everything from fruits to plants to shoots and tubers to being predators, eating everything from insects to small mammals. So we have one more fox. Debbie, you want to release that one right there?
Ready? And we're not going.
Oh, look, he's sleeping with his eyes open. I'm only joking.
Let's go, babe.
Gotta go up the hill. Oh, let him get a shot of it. Let him get it. Just get it. Good. Come on. It's really interesting. As you can see, each of these foxes is an individual. One takes off like a lightning bolt, and this one seems a little bit uncertain. Perhaps it questions its opportunity for freedom. It's really great. You just get a wonderful view of just how beautiful these creatures, you can see that excellent example of the fur. See the gold underneath on the arms and the gray on the top. It's got almost like white tips, a little black at the tail. And as you can see, it's not a large fox at all. It's probably the second smallest canine in the United States. The first of the smallest canines would be, let me see. I just roll in, Glenn.
Yep.
Want to go from the fox to me?
Yep. Ready?
Yeah.
Action, Jeff.
That was pretty cool. And as you can see, each one of these foxes is an individual, not only in being a life form, but in behavior and personality. The first one bounded and took off like an electron. This one seemed a little bit more uncertain, but it's gone. But what the future holds for both of these gray foxes is unknown, but at least they have a chance to be wild and to be free. How does it make you feel, Debbie, to see them take off like that?
It's an awesome experience to see them go back out in the wild like that and know that you've given them a second chance, and hopefully they'll make it. It's awesome.